All
All
right,
right.
Pokemon. Let's talk about Pokemon because they did a little sort of presentation about the new games that they announced. First up, they re-showcased new Pokemon Snap because that is coming out very soon. I believe next month,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
April 30th. And then the two big announcements, which is pretty much what everyone's been talking about within the Pokemon community, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl, which are the Gen 4 remakes, and then Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is like a sort of open world, I guess. They didn't really give us too
Yeah.
much detail in terms of what's going on there, but yeah. So let's start with the Gen 4 remake. So I'll let you go first because you've actually played Gen 4. I've not touched Gen 4 like at all. So.
Okay, yeah. So I love Gen 4, right? Like obviously I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with Gen 3, but Gen 4 I probably put even more time in because you didn't need a stupid link cable. So I remember in like 5th grade I would just like battle like people because it was fun and like you didn't need a stupid link. So basically I have a lot of good memories to Diamond and Pearl, and this is the remake I was kind of looking forward to the most because
Mm-hmm.
Gen 4 does have a lot of issues, right? Like obviously the battle system is a really slow. I mean they fixed that in Platinum, so I kind of expected that problem to go away if they did a remake anyway, just because they would probably use whatever engine was, wherever that generation of Pokemon was in. So originally I thought this remake was gonna look like Sword and Shield, because that's what every remake looked like so far, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Gen Fire Red and Leaf Green looked like Emerald or Ruby and Sapphire, because that was that generation. Which was Gen 3, and then the Heart Gold Soul Silver looked like Gen 4 because it was based on that, and then the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire looked like X and Y because it was in that generation. So I was pretty safe to assume like, okay, the Diamond and Pearl remake is just gonna like Sword and Shield, right? Well, I was
Mm-hmm.
wrong. It looks completely different, and it looks like a chibi stuff, and I don't mind that. I think a lot of people get like kind of confused, right? Because I don't like the chibi stuff is whatever. Like I'm okay with it. Like it's fine. It's just that the way the game looks in general just doesn't look great to me. Like just like I feel like there's no like it feels really flat is what I'm trying to say. Like all the environments and stuff. Like some shots look really good. Like there's one shot where you're gonna get like Driftloon or whatever, and like that shot looks pretty nice. But everything else looks kind of flat. Like the text looks really weird. There's like a close up of like Barry, which is your rival, and like his model just looks really weird too. I don't know. Like a lot of it just feels really flat, and I think that's because Pokemon's really scared of doing like outlines now. In the earlier 3DS games, every model had like a really thick outline to them, right? And I think it made the models look like a lot better. But ever since what was it? Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they like took out the outlines for some reason. And I just don't think it looks as good. And I think this game really suffers from that because it just looks really flat. Same thing, like if they just added some cell shading, I also think it would look a lot better as well. Uh, I think it would just pop out more. I think that's my major issue, right? Like I have no problem with Chibi, right? Like look at the
Mm-hmm.
Link's Awakening remake, right? Like that Chibi is like I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it looks really good because like you could tell they put like a lot of polish into how the game looks. Like there's like a lot of bloom, the game really pops up. Like it looks great, Link's Awakening remake. This game's kind of trying to go for that too, but it just looks like a half-ass version of that. So I'm hoping it will get more polished later. Probably not, but I have a little more hope because this actually isn't developed by Game Freak itself.
Yep.
This is actually developed by the people who did Pokemon Home. So yeah, they don't really have a great. I mean, they don't have any track record because Pokemon Home is kind of just an app. So it's kind of interesting that they decided to put their trust in like a whole remake to like a company that probably never made a game before. I mean, there probably are some Game Freak people in there, but
Yeah.
point is, it's not made by Game Freak themselves because Game Freak usually would make every single Pokemon game, including a remake. So hopefully they listen to a little bit of feedback and polish up the game just a little bit. And another thing they said about the remakes is it's supposed to be really faithful, and you could see that a lot of the remakes of the other Pokemon games were pretty faithful, but they were like change up a lot of things, right? Like obviously Fire Red and Leaf Green are like takes a lot of things from Gen 3. Like there's abilities which weren't in the original Pokemon. A lot of quality of life adjustments, all that great stuff from Gen 3 went into Fire Red and Leaf Green. Same thing with Gen 4, and then same thing with I'm sorry, Gen 2 remakes, and same thing with the Gen 3 remakes.
Mm-hmm.
This one looks like it's gonna straight up just be a faithful remake of Diamond and Pearl, which I kind of don't want, because if that means HMs are gonna be a thing again, that's gonna suck. Because I think one of the biggest weaknesses of Gen 4 was the overabundance of HMs. And if you're a newer fan of Pokemon, you probably don't know what HMs are anymore. Well, basically, there were really annoying things where they're like field moves, right? So you put on a Pokemon, you can't take it out unless you talk to a move deleter, which is usually in a pretty end game town is when you can actually remove a move from an HM like Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So usually what you would do is get something called an HM slave, right? So that would be Bidoof in Gen 4. He's a very famous HM slave. So you would equip him with like strength, surf, whatever you need, and then he takes up a slot in your party like always. Because Gen 4 is notorious for having so many goddamn HMs. There are I think like 8 of them. Like the two that are really annoying me are Rock Climb and Defog. Defog especially. What a stupid HM. Like for no reason, it's just there. So I'm hoping they don't bring those back. I'm hoping they bring back what they had in Sun and Moon, where you could just bring a Pokemon. It's sort of like just like I forgot what it was. You just like equip the Pokemon, but it doesn't take a slot in your inventory. It just like does the HM puzzle. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I want. I don't want to go back to HMs because they suck. um, and yeah, basically, I kind of wanted it to just see this world through like a more modern setting. Seeing it just basically look like Diamond and Pearl, just like a little HD is kind of disappointing to me. Because all the other remakes look like really good compared to the original games. This one, I'm like, I might as well just play the DS versions. Like I know I might be being a little too harsh on it. And I definitely calmed down when I first see this. I was really, but now I've definitely calmed down a bit. I'm like, it's whatever. And hopefully they actually bring in a bunch of content from Platinum as well. Because if they're gonna charge this for 60 with like no Battle Frontier, which was in Platinum, or none of the extra content they did in Platinum and stuff, that would be really lame. And I think they will do that because, of course, it's Pokemon Company and they like just stealing your money. So yeah, hopefully I can't really say anything yet because we don't know a lot of details besides this is happening. And how the game looks. Like I don't know all the details yet. Once more details come in, I will judge my anger based on that. Like if the game is straight up just Diamond and Pearl, like with like no Platinum stuff, no Battle Frontier or anything like that, then I'll be a little mad. But right now I'm just like it's whatever. I wish it looks a little better. I know people are hyped for it, but as someone that really likes Gen 4, it feels just a little disappointing to me. But that's just how I feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who has not played Gen 4 yet, I'm kind of excited to try this out. I mean, I was watching Shofu react to it because I was just like, well, I don't normally watch like these Pokemon things like live, but I was like, Shofu's streaming. Let me just go and see what he's, talking about. And like when the Chibi Dawn character popped up, they were all laughing. I was like, bro, no way. I mean, personally, like I didn't mind it. I love Chibi art style, so I'm not like too against it. But I could definitely see your criticism in terms of being that like it's kind of lazy. It's like super duper faithful to the original in terms of like how it looks, how it sort of animates and all that stuff. And maybe there is something that it needs to pop out with, maybe outlines, maybe shell shading. But yeah, I'm very much like looking forward to this because Gen 4 has always been the generation that our generation sort of like grew up on and sort of played a lot, but I just like never played it. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I do hope that they do make some changes to it to maybe have it stand out a little bit more because my favorite Pokemon game personally is Soul Silver, and I've never played the original Gold and Silver, but just playing that remake and how that remake was done was like very, very good, and I love those Pokemon. And Gen 4's Pokemon I'm very much familiar with as well, just because I watched the anime and all that stuff when I was younger, and I know a lot of the Pokemon, but HM slaves and all that other stuff, I feel like that should probably be something that should be like fixed or left out or whatever because
Never
these people
I hate HM slaves.
Elka, which stands for I love computer art, the people that worked on Pokemon Home, they're making this, which is something that I think a lot of people are very interested in to see exactly how well this does, because this is the first time that Game Freak has handed off the main series Pokemon stuff to someone else. Like Game Freak has been behind literally everything Pokemon related, and I believe Mr. Masuda is still directing this game, so he's probably trying to make sure that this isn't gonna look too far off from the originals, or maybe he's the one that's sort of like making sure that it is sort of to the T what the originals were, which hopefully maybe he'll loosen up on that. Obviously, like this is all speculation, but yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. I do hope that they do improve on it because just seeing exactly how lazy Game Freak was with the last Pokemon games, Sword and Shield, this is obviously a new developer, but still with Mr. Masuda behind the helm as a director. I do hope that this, does have some sort of flair and some sort of pop to it, if you will.
Right. Like, I mean, again, it is cool they are adding like all the old things from like they actually have the underground mini game, which was sort of like a thing where you could like transport anywhere underground by like tapping the bottom screen in the original game, and then you
Hmm.
could sort of like mine for like stuff and get a bunch of items. That I spent so many hours doing that, and I saw it was in the trailer, and like, that's pretty cool. There's also like the Union Room for some reason, which was like the old wireless thing where you would connect to other people. Really weird that that's there, not like a more modern online thing, but
Hmm.
whatever. So yeah, that's the things that get me nervous because it does seem like it's gonna be very faithful. Which again, it's gonna be super nostalgic for me, but also like, you know, I kind of wish it was a little more ambitious than it is. But we're gonna have to wait for details and see like what extra content they're also gonna add to this game. Because again, these are $60 games now. Like it's
Hmm.
kind of hard to be like more lenient with them because they were only $40 on the 3DS, but now they're like these are $60 games. So I better
Hmm.
expect some more content than just whatever the base Diamond and Pearl had. So yeah, I mean, I'm still looking forward to it because again, I love Gen 4, and I do kind of miss the OG Pokemon design, so it's gonna be nice to go back to how the games used to be. But still, it's gonna be interesting to play through this remake again. Also, BDSP is really close to BDSM, so I'm glad they didn't go to that. So, but yeah, I guess we could talk about the next thing unless you have anything else to say about the Gen 4 remakes.
No, we could talk about Pokemon Arceus, right?
Yeah, so Pokemon Legends Arceus. So this is really cool and we're so okay. So I'm very happy that this is a step in the right direction, right? Like Pokemon has always been the same since forever, right? Like there's always been like the towns and the gym leaders and all that stuff. Uh, and we never really had anything more ambitious than that. And I think that's the reason why people are very salty about Sword and Shield was because that was the opportunity to go really big because you're on the Switch now. You could do more things now that you're on like better hardware than just like a portable thing. But, obviously Game Freak didn't do that and decided to go the safe route, and it was kind of just a standard Pokemon game. Obviously, you had the wild areas, and I think the
Hmm.
DLCs do make up for that. Like I was saying when I was talking about the DLCs of Sword and Shield, I think those DLCs really opened up the game to like, yeah, this is kind of what I want for the next Pokemon game, and it kind of seems to go in that direction with Arceus. Well, I'm just gonna call it Pokemon Legends. For
Hmm.
Pokemon Legends. But from what we've seen, it does look very rough. Obviously, the gameplay they showed us was, it was
Oof,
super
the frames.
framey, very very framey. But like there was like a one with a Chimecho, like the pre-evolution of Chimecho, and it looked like it was just wanting to die because its frames were like dying. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh man. But it looked really cool. Like going a whole open world. I mean, it looks like there's nothing to do in that open world. So hopefully there's actually things to do except catch and fight Pokemon. But from what they showed, it is the step in the right direction. What I want. Even when you go into a battle, it looks like there's no battle transition. You kind of just stand right next to your Pokemon, and then you fight the wild Pokemon. And then when the Pokemon hits, you actually see them hit the other Pokemon, and that's really cool. We never really had that in the other 3D Pokemon games. So it definitely looks like it's aiming for what people want it to be. You could even have like a dodge roll for some reason. I think Pokemon can like hit you like your trainer, which is kind of cool. You can also just throw Pokeballs just out in the wild and stuff without being in a battle. So again, definitely these are all steps in the right direction. It's just like hopefully they could do it. You know what I mean? Like from what they showed us, the open world looks very empty. Again, the frame rate looks like a big issue. So yeah, we just again it's another wait and see game with this game because we don't know how the structure is gonna be, especially with no gym leaders or anything. Like, I don't know how the game is gonna operate. Is it gonna work just like more of a standard JRPG? Is it gonna work like Breath of the Wild where you kind of just do whatever you want and maybe there's like an end game thing you could do? Like I'm not too sure. Or is the game just like really just a giant wild area where you just catch Pokemon and fill the Pokedex? Like I think that would be pretty lame because that
Hmm.
seems to be the major point of the game where the trailer is like, oh, fill out the first Pokedex or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool and all, but I hope that's not the only thing you do. So yeah, definitely steps in the right direction, but it still looks pretty rough. And but again, I'm happy they're finally breaking the formula because this is when we would get a next generation. We would be seeing things for Pokemon Gen 9 at this point, but they're not doing that, which is pretty impressive because the whole Pokemon machine is really reliant on new generations so they could sell more toys, make a new anime, new trading cards. You know what I mean? So it
Hmm.
kind of means a lot that they're actually stepping away from that to make like an actual video game that's not just like feels like it's just a drive for marketability. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely steps in the right direction from this game.
Hmm. And definitely picking the trio of Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet was definitely a good choice. But
Yeah,
it's
they're all good
interesting.
Pokemon. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely interesting because Rowlet's definitely super duper new.
Mm.
So, but yeah, them stepping outside of the whole next gen, to sort of make new cards, anime, all that other stuff. I'm going to assume that they're doing this to bring back older fans and sort of have that nostalgia while at the same time having this Diamond and Pearl remake. So that is kind of cool. And the whole concept of a open world Pokemon game has always been on the minds of people, and I think that the fact that they're finally stepping into that, despite how rough it looks, it is definitely no clean edges as far as I could tell. The frames are all over the place. The graphics are not all there. This is definitely something that I hope they take their time with, because this is supposed to come out sometime early next year.
Yeah,
So
early next year. Yeah.
we could be within that time frame where it could be out a year from now. But if it comes out a year from now and it still looks like the way it does, that's going to be very concerning. And obviously a lot of backlash, but people are probably still going to buy it because the Pokemon fans are Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I can't say anything. I'm gonna buy both of these games day one because I look. I have an issue. All right, Pokemon has to be in Stockholm syndrome. I know they do. That's just how it is. The only time I resisted was Sword and Shield for like a month, and then I bought it anyway for full price. So like I know they got me,
mhm.
but it is good to see that they are trying new things again. Like it's definitely what we wanted. We just gotta see if Game Freak has the effort or talent to do this. Because if I learned anything, I don't think Game Freak have very good developers on there. Since like everything feels like all the gameplay designs are like straight up from the 90s. So like hopefully this game could really bring them into like a new league. But from what we've seen, I'm not too sure. But again, I'm optimistic that it could be good for both of these games. Honestly, even though I was crapping a bit on the Diamond and Pearl remake, I also hope they're good. Because if it means that Game Freak could divvy up the work between like another developer, I think that'd be pretty neat as well. So, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely Game Freak. If you think Nintendo's behind on stuff, Game Freak's just still making the same games that they were making since they started. So them stepping out of their comfort zone to make this is very interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to see on how Arceus plays into this, because this is about a old town or whatever, and there's an actual story to sort of coincide with this game.
yeah.
Um,
It's supposed to be like all the way back before Sinnoh was like a region or something, or
mhm.
before Sinnoh was like populated. I think that's good. We're basically getting like two Sinnoh remakes if you think about it, which is pretty neat because I really like Sinnoh as a region as well. So seeing like Mount Coronet in the background as like an actual really big mountain because you couldn't really see it when it was like top down as a in Diamond and Pearl. I think that's really neat seeing it like being so big,
Mhm.
and just seeing Arceus as well, since Arceus actually did have an event in Diamond and Pearl, but I don't think it was ever released for America. The only reason I was able to play it was because I had an action replay, so I was able to cheat in the event item to fight Arceus, which is really neat. But yeah, it's cool to see him have his own game, and I actually like to keep giving these mythic Pokemon like their own events now. Like when you fought Deoxys and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I thought that was really neat. And now
Mhm.
being able to have Arceus as like a major like Pokemon, I think that's also really cool since he's kind of never been a thing. He's always just been like just a Pokemon you get in events. So kind of
Mhm.
neat to see him as like a full like thing in this. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, go
yeah,
on.
sorry. I have one more point. Also, this is also really cool. There's no other version. It's just one Pokemon
Mhm.
Legends. That there's no two versions. That's really neat. Again, that's even more innovative than just being like an open world Pokemon game. They're not doubling down on like the greediness. Like let's have two versions. Like I think that's really cool. Honestly, like they're just selling one game. I mean, hopefully they don't announce another version. But yeah, it's just Pokemon Legends Arceus. I think that's really cool. So yeah, definitely all steps in the right direction. We just gotta see how the games actually like come out. So
Yeah, as a person that has not been, following Pokemon all that much since X and Y, because X and Y did leave a bad taste in my mouth, but I understand that some people actually did like X and Y and they were able to, explore the other Pokemon games that would come out later in the future or go back and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very much looking forward to these two games in particular. Obviously, with Brilliant Diamond as a game that, I sort of missed out on when I was growing up, and with Legends Arceus as a open world Pokemon game as it sort of looks like right now. I wonder what the storyline and what the plot's going to be to sort of advance that, and how the travel mechanics and everything like that, because open world games have been pretty much done to death at this point, but a Pokemon open world game has not been sort of executed yet. So
Yeah, it's gonna be cool to see if they can actually like pull off an engaging open world. I mean, judging from the wild areas, probably not, because I think the wild areas they're really neat and the best part about Sword and Shield. But even then, they're super bare bones in terms of open world games. Even on the Switch, like compared to like Breath of the Wild or Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like it pales in comparison to both of those games. So hopefully they take the lessons they learned from the wild areas and maybe like from the other games that are on the Switch and make something really special. Again, I doubt it. I'm gonna remain a little pessimistic about all this, but I also want to be optimistic about it. So
hmm
the only way we can see is when it comes out. And again, I'm gonna buy it anyways, so it's just not like it matters. But yeah, definitely happy that Game Freak is finally trying something new. They're finally breaking out of their cycles. We could finally see like what they could do to make an actual good video game. So yeah, because Pokemon has been stale for a very long time. I mean, I really like Sun and Moon, but I feel like that was really the only good 3D Pokemon game so far. So yeah, hopefully they could break out and like this Pokemon Legends Arceus could be like a start of a new thing for them and like a new like they could finally get away from like the cycle that they've been plagued by for like 20 years or something. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to both of these games. So let's move on to